Welcome to the Bringing Hope Home podcast. We're Bryce and Colette Schaefer, pastors, teachers, and madly in love empty nesters. We invite you into our home as we candidly share faith-filled, practical ways to build a strong and lasting marriage. Okay, well, we're back again this week with Bringing Hope Home, and we have some special guests this week, Rob and Sarah Betts. They have been longtime friends. I won't say old friends, or mature friends, right?
Right.
We go clear back to Rhema days, and for us, Rhema days 2004,
Yep.
I believe, is when we met, right?
That's right.
They're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they're back there. Pastor Rob is a pastor there at the Rhema Bible Church, and so it's awesome to have you guys here with us today. And we have kids around the same age, right?
We do.
So we raised them when they were little together, and now they're all out of the house. And
Right.
so we're continuing this conversation of empty nesting, right? Because you guys know something about that as well. But
Yeah.
before we get started, just tell everyone a little bit about you guys.
I'll let you start.
Okay, great. As you said, we're now part of the staff at Rhema Bible Church. We've been back here now almost a year and a half, not quite, but always had it on our hearts to be back here and be a part of what was going on, and so thankful to be here now. In addition to those responsibilities, I'm teaching at the school now, and then we have some of the other departments at the ministry that we help out with. So Word Partner Club is one of the things that I do. So all of our partners, we get to interact with them. But our ministry, we started out after we left, when we left Rhema, once we graduated back, we're not saying exactly how long ago, or how old we are. But when we left, we went back immediately into ministry and pastored at the church that I grew up in. My granddad had gone home to be with the Lord. We pastored there. Then we pastored in Central Illinois, and we were associate pastors there in music ministry, and got 3 kids of our own, all of them now out of the house.
Yeah.
So has been strange, good and strange. So anyway, Allie, our oldest, our son is our middle, Brady, and then Abby Grace. And so it's us now and our dog. You got anything?
That's right. And our oldest Allie's married, so of course that's a whole new season too. So you guys know well that you're just navigating all those seasons and trying to do the right things, trying to be led by the Spirit. And so but I tell you what, the empty nest life is a good life, right?
Amen.
Good life.
No
There is a
complaints.
good sweet spot in that we are really enjoying, and it's kind of funny right now. They kind of come and go because our son is in construction work, so sometimes he stays with us for some weeks and then goes out, which is so nice too, because he gets to land here. He was the middle one, so we didn't get that one-on-one time, so it's been nice to have that some. And then our youngest is a student at ORU, so there's the meals on the weekends, and we get to go to church together and all that. So
Yes, I know. Sometimes we're empty nesters, sometimes it's full again.
depends on the day. But for the most part, we are, and obviously at first it's tricky to navigate, and then you kind of have to get your bearings and hit the reset button in some areas. And but we have really, I feel like we're in a good rhythm now where we're really enjoying it, and
It's a good season for
yeah,
sure.
it is.
Right. So talk to us about that season and that rhythm. You just said that word rhythm, and I like that because that's what you needed to find again. So
Yes.
tell us how you found that rhythm, for our audience.
So I do think it does start through your marriage, your whole marriage. You're kind of setting that whole rhythm for this special time, not just for you, but for your children too. I mean, that's the goal, that you launch them out into the world, and they're making a difference. They're doing what you've sowed into them, what you poured into them. So we really started the rhythm by making time for each other all throughout this time. We would send them to bed. They always had a bedtime. It's 8 o'clock. Get in the bed. I don't care how old you are. Get in there and read a book, and we would have that downtime so we could talk without being interrupted, so that we could reset, so that we could, just have that special time together.
I remember in particular though, in a season when we were associate pastors in Central Illinois, where we sent all three of them home at the same time because they were all around, and we were from Kentucky, 3 hours south of where we were in ministry. And we sent them home for spring break one year, and we were spending that week together and had a conversation. Remember walking around the
Yeah.
track, we had a conversation. We're like, you know what? When they go, we're gonna be good.
Yeah.
We didn't build everything around them. We
Right.
built it around our family as a whole and made time for us. And so we were like, they're gone a week and we're all right. It's not like
Right.
we're looking at each other wondering, who's this person? I think that happens. We know people that's happened to, that put everything into their kids and what they're doing. And we did travel, sports,
Right.
Academic team. I used to joke and say we had a couple of athletes and a mathlete.
Mhm.
And so we did academics and
All of
cheerleading.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
But we did those things as a family. So we would choose to do our vacations where, like, say Brady had baseball, we would all go and we would just do it around our vacation. We'd spend time together then too.
Right.
And then realizing, hey, they're gonna leave and we're not strangers. We still know each other.
Right.
And I think that helped us
It did.
to transition really.
Even during that, I know that those seasons where your kids are traveling, doing sports, and it's super intense, but we did do it as a family. Like we mostly would go to everything together, and if someone else was involved in something, we really tried to keep it seasonal where they are super busy at a different time, because we did see a lot of families struggle through those times because they weren't getting connected at all. They weren't having any kind of family dinner. They weren't together, on the weekends. One would be in another state than the other one. And we saw some families really struggle through that. So we did make that a priority for our marriage and for our family. And I really believe it served us well, and it served our children well. They look back at those times fondly, where it was more of a everything was more a family setting, and they could trust that we were going to be there, through those times, and they weren't ever wondering where the other one was. We
for sure.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
good.
Well, and as you went into this empty nesting time, and you're kind of to me like retiring the family unit a little bit, because you're going to start expanding. Like you said, your oldest is now married, and
Yeah.
expanding your family. So your family is now, dynamics change so much. So
Right.
how did you pivot? Obviously, you did it that one day around the track. It just dawned on you that it's coming and you're going to be okay. But you're retiring that family intimate time for something else, and just you two as a couple.
Right.
So what did you do when you found yourself in empty nest, retired that family unit for yourselves, every night, or during those day times after they all left?
One of the things that we did that we've because we also made a transition from we were living in Kentucky and came here a year and a half ago. So all of this transition comes at a time that
Lots of transition.
it was all those changes were taking place when Abby Grace went off to college and we were in Kentucky. She was here in Oklahoma. We shifted that time over to where we were focusing on relationships with our family. We would do things, hobby
Yeah.
stuff, like trips, like
Parents.
like our family, our extended family, like Sarah's parents lived right down the road. My mom was there. And so we started finding that we were having time for those type of things. And then on top of that, taking small trips together, something that, and since we've been here, we do, where we'll pick a place that's an hour from, so you feel like you're getting away, but an hour from where we're at in Tulsa. And we just spend the day. We've gone to see waterfalls. We went to a Native American, like a tall grass prairie, just different things like that we've been filling our time with, hanging out with each other, doing stuff we like to do. We made soap for a while.
Yeah, we've
yeah,
tried lots of
and
different
so-
things. Yeah. And we have had hobbies throughout the years that we like to do together. One thing we love to do is cook. Now that we're empty nesters, we can cook whatever we want.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We expanded our means.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's been fun because it opened the door to also, like, if we want to go to a movie on Tuesday night, we go to a movie, and although, there's that that, like I said, it's kind of, you get your bearings, and there is some grief, associated with that, because
Right.
all of a sudden you're like, whoa, and you could go kind of one direction where you're, whoa, what, did we do everything we were supposed to do? Oh my goodness, like, what are we gonna do now? Who am I? Where am
And
I?
that's going both ways. You think, like, sometimes there are things that you don't always vocalize, but you're thinking, did I pour in everything into my
Right.
son as a man that I should have poured in, or woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of stuff. So there's a little bit of loss, because you feel like, even though sometimes our kids, when they're at home, don't listen to us always, we feel like they are a captive audience.
You're
And
right.
so you're there to help. Like, if they don't get it right, you can help them get it, as the saying goes, very right the second time. And you help them, but then when they leave, you have these thoughts sometimes, and you encourage one
Yeah,
another,
that's what
where we've done, where you feel like, maybe I didn't give them everything. Hey, we gave them what we could, and we believe
We
God
trust
for the
him.
rest of it.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's me that needs the propping up and her encouraging me. Sometimes it's in reverse. It'll be her, and she gets quiet, or I get quiet. But you recognize, because, in the spousal relationship, you just know when somebody says everything's, you say, hey, what's wrong? And they're like, oh, I'm fine. Well, that doesn't always, that's not the whole of it.
Mhm.
So I think we work really pretty diligently
We
at
have.
helping to encourage each other in those times.
Right. And we're cautious to not stay down in that grief. We don't want to sit in their empty room,
Oh,
like, and all
light
the
some
pictures.
candles around there.
We're but I mean, we don't do that. We're not gonna allow ourselves to do that, because that doesn't bring me hope. It doesn't bring me peace. What brings me peace is imagining them happy, healthy,
Yeah.
serving God, and that's what I do. If I start to go in that negative direction, I go back to the word. Lord, you said if I trained them up, that they won't depart. They're
Praise
gonna
the Lord.
fulfill everything you've called them to do. And we help each other with that, where we start to recognize, oh, okay, like this grief is maybe not in a healthy place, because there's a healthy, hey, you're just processing, right? But then we want to make sure that we stay in that healthy spot where we're seeing them the way God sees them, and we're seeing our family the way
Well,
that God
and
sees
I
them.
was just gonna add to that, you don't want to set up a shrine to your kids. It's okay to have some, like, we have stuff out where they did things, but we use one of the extra rooms in our house now that would have been a bedroom. We do podcasting out in our room, we'll make room for them if they're home, but we've got lights that we set up and those kind of things in there. And we have pictures of the wall of our son's baseball and their senior pictures. We have stuff like that, but I have seen where people will literally close the door on a room in their house, and you open it up. Their child could have just left there, and now they've built this, not deliberately, but they've created a shrine to the
What
past.
was, yeah.
But their children are, they're grown adults now, and there's lots of things that we can celebrate in our kids' lives, the things that they're doing now, milestones at work and stuff like that.
Right.
So we can celebrate them now, and it doesn't do any harm to, the memories of.
I think that's a good point. When Ethan moved out, our oldest, I think it was the weekend after.
Right, it was right away.
Away. I sent him a picture. I repainted his room and I put "I love you" or something on it, or something like that. But we repainted. It's like or
Right
we
away.
love you, but we need this room or something for guests. So yeah, he knew right away.
By the way, we've moved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, that's actually,
yes,
I have to say the side note. My grandparents, my dad's parents actually did that. They moved, he went to college and they moved and did not tell him.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so
wow.
he came back to the house that he thought they were in and they weren't there. And that was, so how do you find them? Because there's for cell phones or anything like that. So he had to
ask neighbors.
Ask-
Yeah.
Oh,
Those are people who knew how to empty nest. They didn't need to look.
I didn't look around.
Right, right. Well,
Amazing.
we're glad you found some joy in some
Yeah.
thoughts, and in going to that next level here and next season.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to having that relationship, the two of you, before.
Yes.
You know, making sure that your relationship is solid together through them being little, through them being the busy time of middle school and high school, and through graduation.
Right.
That your marriage has stayed. You know, you guys are the same people that we met
Right.
years ago, right?
Amen. And I think our foundation is ultimately on Jesus. It's
Right.
the Lord. And so that just helps you stay more steady. When you're putting all of your trust and relying on Him completely, you don't have those just roller coaster days. You might have a little bit of a dip, but most of the time, you know, for me, I have found that He is so stable, He's so steady that even if my emotions kind of get all over the place, I can come back and just put my focus on Him and just get that comfort that I need from Him. And so we're so thankful for that.
Well, and I think it's great too. You guys are a perfect example of what we're talking about too, because when you have this relationship with a person first, and you recognize that, like, hey, we were here, we're on the same team.
Right.
We were here before all of you guys, your kids, all you came in here. Y'all are an extension of what God has created in our lives when He joined us together.
Mhm.
And so we still want you to be a part of it in this new direction, this new season, but it's different. And the stability we had before, we built on that
Mhm.
because we have to be, if you like, we started dating in high school. I was a senior and she was a sophomore. We were dating, working at Wendy's. I joke and I say, she saw that I could run a grill. I knew she could make a salad, and we were like, well, we'll never starve. So, yeah, it's true. But we, the majority of marriages that like people met in high school don't last statistically. And I think if you spend some time on that all along the way, you're incorporating your kids' schedules into a relationship that is going to last beyond, unless you plan on having your kids stay at home with you forever. And I don't know that.
I think you just did a thumbs up and it goes up by itself.
Yeah, we did.
Well, that is
And the
hilarious.
Holy Ghost thumbs up, I think,
Yeah, I like that. That's
for those that got to watch.
Let's check it out.
That's funny.
Oh, no.
Right. Well, that's good though. This is all really good stuff, and we really appreciate you joining us this week and helping us help other people transition a little bit.
Because
And
everyone is doing that right now.
right, as the school years have started for everyone, and everybody's in a new season. And I think if we just look forward to and
Yes.
grab a hold of the seasons that we're in, and everything's bound to change, ourselves, our kids. And if we embrace that through Christ, as you're saying, great things are happening and are possible for sure.
Absolutely.
So
I love that. Yes, we choose to embrace every season with joy. So we know that our future's bright with Him, and so there's no reason to dread the next season.
Amen.
That's right. Well, we thank you guys for joining us. And anybody listening, I think, what is your podcast is, tell me.
Living the Abundant Life with Rob and Sarah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so you can catch that. I'll put a link down below to their podcast, but you can catch that wherever you listen, and that will be a blessing.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, anything else that you want to end or have to
I
end?
would say too, just one more thing is that we also love other people. And so our goal is right now, we are always looking for other people to encourage, other people to be a blessing, just like I pray for my kids to be, for laborers to go before them and to love on them, to mentor them. We want to be that for other people's kids. We want to be that for other people. And so I think that's one thing that we've really found super fun is that in this season, we have a lot more time, we have more resources. So it's great. We're always talking about somebody who needs a word of encouragement. Maybe we should take them out, whatever. And I think we've found great joy in that, just being the hands and feet of Jesus and having more time to do it. So,
And
Yeah.
just adding to that we're finding at church, because we're like, as you serve in areas, there are people that you can bring into your life that you make connections with afterwards. And so God has really
Yeah.
been,
Yeah,
he's been good
so
to
good
Rob
to
and
us.
Sarah Betts,
Yeah.
for sure.
Amen.
Yeah, and I will testify to that because, our kids went down to Tulsa and we're 15 hours away. And so you guys got to love on, our youngest
You
and
sure
everything
did.
when we weren't there. So yeah, that's huge of just what can you do together to, ministry and look beyond your walls, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you all for joining us. And until next time, bring hope home to your life today. If you're listening on the Apple Podcast app, give us a 5-star rating and drop a review. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. See you next week.